We Filipinos are often afraid that we don't measure up to the other women of the world that you might have had relationships with.
Yes, your girl is back with another interesting video I know you will love to watch. But first of all, how are you all doing? I hope you guys are doing great. In today's video, I'm going to be reacting on a video titled 10 Things Filipina Fear When Dating a Foreigner. This video is going to be an educating one, an interesting one at that. But before I proceed with this video, if you're watching me right now, you're new to my platform, you love my reaction videos, you want to see more coming from the Philippines, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you don't get to miss out each time I bring videos like this your doorstep. So without wasting much of your time, let's dive into this video. Watch it, react on it together. I want to know these things Filipina fear while dating a foreigner. Let's watch the video together and react on it, okay?
Hi folks, the Filipina P here, telling it like it is. Well, it's time for some serious truth bombs today. But this time, I'm gonna drop them on myself and all my Filipina sisters. Not as any kind of attack or criticism, but as an honest look at our darkest fears when it comes to relationships with foreigners. Once again, I'm gonna go where other channels don't, by discussing a perspective you probably won't hear anywhere else. Thanks to my actually being a Filipina and also one who's willing to discuss the subject. Some of these fears are grounded in reality, some in fiction, some are funny, and some are universal and unsolvable. But these are the things we worry about and obsess over. So if you want an inside look at the things that keep us up at night, here goes. First, let me explain a cultural situation here that's really at the heart of the matter. You have to understand what it's like to grow up as a Filipina, with your friends, family, parents, and the church all telling you that your primary goal is to marry and reproduce. The mantra of married with children is enough to give Al Bundy a migraine, but it's pounded into our heads from birth and becomes the bedrock of a Filipina's identity. It also explains the reason why so many of us Filipinas already have quite a past when you meet us, even at a very young age. Sometimes we've already had a husband, a child or two, and we seem almost desperate to settle down before the music stops and there's no more chairs available. What's difficult for some foreigners to understand is that despite how slow everything else is here, the life cycle of the Filipina is actually sped up to such a degree that if we reach the age of 30 without having a husband and at least one child, we're considered past our expiration date by society. In fact, this may come as a shock, but we even get labeled as leftovers if we find ourselves in that position. Yup, leftovers at 30. While many Western women are still completing their education into their mid-20s and beyond, and haven't even seriously considered having children yet, they're already at an age that creates panic in many Filipinas who see their chances slipping away fast. That may explain why even nice girls from the province may already have a child and a few ex-boyfriends by the time you meet them. You start chatting with an innocent-sounding Filipina, and in your mind, you imagine that they must spend every Sunday kneeling in church. But when you discover the reality of their situation, it becomes obvious that they've been kneeling in other places as well. As so often happens, their boyfriend or husband has left them, and they see their prospects as dismal at best. Then, suddenly, you pop onto the scene, full of hope and promise. So why should a Filipina be scared of that? What's to be afraid of? Well, leave it to us to bury ourselves under a mountain of worries, some very real, and some just plain silly. So let's dive right into that black hole of insecurities, shall we? Our past. Ever wonder why getting us to talk about our past is like pulling teeth? Well, first, in our culture, people just don't discuss those things. Filipino men rarely ask their partners about past relationships, and there's a don't ask, don't tell policy in effect here. It's almost like a game we play. They like to assume we're all virgins, even with a child in our arms. Then you guys come along and bluntly ask us things about our past, and our first reaction is to duck and cover, run and hide. We have a real fear of discussing our past because it bears all our mistakes for you to see. And that's just not the Asian way of saving face.
Just listening to her, I already have goosebumps all over me. Honestly, a lot of women, not just a Filipino, as a woman, I don't like talking about my past. More especially if you have a bad past. And then here you go again with another guy standing in front of you, asking you, tell me about your past. It's like peeling off the old wounds. You just run and hide because you don't know if after telling him your past will make him stay or will make him run away, then breaking your heart for the second time. Let's keep watching. This video is so interesting. Let's keep watching.
It's one of the reasons why we often deny having children when in fact, we've sent them to live with a relative, and a lot of other deceptions we're guilty of. We may have debts you're not aware of, and you have more chance of single-handedly raising the Titanic than of getting us to tell you our actual notch count. We feel like we need to be perfect for you, or you'll reject us, especially with all the other options available to you.
The physical fears.
Unlike Western women who often receive plenty of male attention despite physical issues like extra weight or unfortunate piercings, we Filipinas think that one little flaw could be the difference between landing a good guy or getting passed over. The competition is that tough here, and we know it. It's so tough, in fact, that little things you'd never even notice can destroy our confidence right when we need it the most. For instance, Filipinas have a thing about armpits. We think that ours are ugly because sometimes they have dark lines and chicken skin, instead of the smooth underarms of Western women. It can bother us so much that we'll keep our arms clamped together even when greeting you for the first time at the airport. Hello! Now I know that's not something that you guys would even notice, and I don't think I've ever heard a foreigner say, "Oh man, I had to dump her. Did you see those pits? She'd have to wear long sleeve before I'd tap that." But for whatever reason, a guy with an underarm fetish is a Filipina's kryptonite. Unfortunately, dental work isn't high on the priority list here, and many of us have too many cavities or crooked teeth that are badly in need of orthodontics. You'll notice that a lot of Filipinas get braces as an adult when they can finally afford them. It's actually a status symbol here. But many of us simply can't shell out 80,000 pesos necessary to correct the problem. As a result, you'll often encounter Filipinas who've seen enough TV to believe that every Western woman has an endless row of bright white teeth, which makes us a lot less likely to smile or even talk. Strangely, the one thing that we can easily do something about is what many of us ignore. While being among the most feminine-looking women on earth, many Filipinas seem oblivious to their thick, lustrous, flowing hair on the upper lip. If a Filipina is interested in dating a foreigner, it would be prudent to put away that obsession with armpits and pull out a waxing strip instead. We don't need you guys coming up with more slogans like, "If there's hair on the lip, I'll give her the slip." Someone needs to pass around a memo. Maybe I just did.
The imaginary fears.
The fear that we're inadequate in bed. Even if we'd had our fair share of sexual encounters, Filipinas imagine all sorts of exotic tricks and talents that Western women must know that we're not privy to. We think of our own past encounters as being clumsy and brief, which they often are, and fear that you guys expect more exotic shenanigans in the bedroom involving whipped cream and swinging from chandeliers. This may have some basis in reality, but I've never heard a guy who ended up things with a Filipina because of her lack of experience. Then there's the concern about our language skills. Even though we probably know a lot more English than you know Tagalog, instead of being proud of our multilingual abilities, we feel awkward and incompetent. We're afraid of being judged by you. So instead of trying to communicate, sometimes we just sit there in silence. We're happy to have you order something for us in the restaurant so we don't have to try pronouncing the menu items. And all of us have learned the phrase, "whatever you want," in order to minimize our need to speak or share an opinion.
Relationship fears.
We Filipinos are often afraid that we don't measure up to the other women of the world that you might have had relationships with. Sexy, adventurous, sophisticated women who can swim gracefully, climb mountains, and entertain wealthy guests at cocktail parties after coming home from their Pilates classes. Thanks to the images we've been exposed to, we have a distorted view of what it means to be a Western woman, even if it's far from the truth. You think of us one way, we see ourselves another way. But reality is irrelevant. It's all perception. And sometimes we perceive ourselves as inferior because our life experiences are so limited. So what are we really, truly terrified of? That will give you the best remaining years of our youth and beauty and our devotion to you, and you'll end up leaving us. It's happened already to many of us. The men that say they love us one day are gone the next.
Yeah.
Sometimes leaving us with children to make future searches for a mate even more improbable. It's a reality here, so we expect it. We wait for it. And all the while, our clocks are ticking at a frantic pace because of the expectations of our culture. Unfortunately, to combat the possibility of being abandoned, some Filipinas adopt an offensive strategy of, I'll get them before they get me, and use the same tactics in reverse, playing men against each other, and jumping from one ship to the next, leaving them on fire and sinking with little care or remorse. But much of that despicable behavior is based in fear, fear of being rejected or replaced. And while you might say, oh, that's true anywhere for both sexes, let me explain how it really is different. Because foreigners hold most of the cards here. I'll make my last point and use an analogy to do it. Filipinas see the dating scene here in the Philippines like a giant car dealership with an endless lot of different makes and models, all of them for free. There are Ferraris and Ford Pintos, brand new ones and old rusty ones that barely run. And even if you have virtually no money, it seems like all you foreigners have to do is pick the one you want. Now, even if we think we're a Lamborghini, we're eventually gonna get some dings and scratches. And we know that every week, a whole new shipment of brand new cars gets delivered to that lot right down the street. And all you have to do is leave us by the side of the road and go pick out another one. Now that sounds really harsh, and you may not see it that way at all. But remember what I said about reality and perception? And in this case, it's the perception that as we age, there's always going to be a shinier new model to catch your eye, and nothing much stopping you from making a switch.
Exactly.
All these gnawing insecurities keep us Filipinas asking ourselves the question, why would he still want me? Well, hopefully the answer is true love. And if you believe in it and are lucky enough to find it, then maybe you'll be able to put all those fears and insecurities into a little bottle and toss it into the sea of forgotten thoughts. Until you notice those crow's feet, wrinkles, and how's my armpits? I was thinking if I just got laser treatments, maybe those lines would disappear and I could raise my arms again. Okay, there's one more fear that I've saved for last because it's a little personal, and that's breast size. Nothing strikes fear into the hearts of some women more than worrying about how their chest measures up. And it looks like Mother Nature has abandoned the Filipina. According to dailymail.co and worlddata.info, Filipinas have the smallest chest on the planet, while Western women, Americans in particular, have the largest. Once again, I'm going to use my trusty whiteboard to show you the actual data. Now, obviously, not all Filipinas are the same size. It's always a bell curve like this. So the average Filipina has an A cup size. The bell curve for Western women is substantially different, with the average of full D cup size. As you can see, oh, come on, guys. I swear, I can't take you anywhere.
Honestly, her illustration is so funny. But what she said on this video is so true. A lot of women suffer self-confidence, more especially when it comes to the culture of a thing. You know, at the age of 25, as an African woman, your parents have started asking you, your mates are getting married, what are you still doing? When is he going to pop the question? When are you going to introduce a man to this family? At the age of 30, you are still in your father's house. They consider you as someone that will never marry again. Even when the young guys want to marry, they look for younger girls. So not just Filipino women are going through this. A lot of women out there are going through the same thing as well. Like in Africa, as a woman, I went to the university, studied, they don't value that. What they want to see is you have a man that is taking care of you. You have a husband. You have your own children. That is what they want to see. You going to school, getting all the whole degree. Africans don't value it. At the age of 30, they want to see you living in a man's house, having your own children, having your own family. That is what they are interested about. And that is why you see we girls, once we get to the age of 25, the clothes start ticking for us. We start doing everything possible just to have a man by our side. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section. If you like this video, you want to see more from the Philippines, hit that subscribe button, okay? See you all on my next one.